So if I stumble, forgive me in advance. I don't have to tell you why we're here. All I have to tell you is what it means to me that you guys are here. First, just appreciate everybody who could make it and those who couldn't make it, because I know there was a lot of folks who wanted to come and they just couldn't. So thank you all. I really, really, really appreciate it. I think those of you who know my son, my Soheil, the one I get strength from. And of course, my son Siavash, and I have another wonderful kid. So Soheil is, because he's not gone. He sort of is you guys. Put every bit of the best of everybody. You could call me a biased guy, maybe I am, but I could see it. He loved every one of you, I know it. Certainly those of you who knew him, you know how much he loved you. And those of you who didn't know him, he would have loved to know you. I mean, he was the guy who would go to any place and just start talking. And it could be a subject that you had no interest in sometimes, but he would start talking. And then he would start hugging you. And then he would start loving you. And he was just such a amazing, really ocean of love. An insatiable one. He just seemed like he just wanted to give and give and give and give. And he didn't care if he got anything back. He just loved it. All of his friends, and I'm so grateful to every one of you. And I know many of you, and I have got to know more of you in the last few days. And you have touched my heart. Really, you have. What you're doing for him is just blowing my mind. I mean, not only you just show up for this kind of thing, celebrating his life, but you're there, out there, just trying to make a change. And I can tell you what, every one of you is now my soul. So is around. He's not going anywhere. Okay? Just to show you sort of what he was all about. You've seen the garden, So's garden. It may not look like the best looking garden today, because we just sort of, I had to succumb to his push for, we got to do nonprofit. I want to help people. I got to have there's a lot of people who don't have food, so we got to do something. So we started to do that about 10 days or a week before this whole thing. Yeah. So we started that, and he was just that kind of person. He was the guy who would literally, and I know he did many times, didn't have money, but yet he would go in there, put a $20 tip in somebody's jar. He says, son, why are you doing that? You don't have any money. No, that makes him happy. So, okay, yeah, so that's him. I don't know. I think we all have lost that love for our community, our people, our friends. We just forget that, without our community, our friends, people that we are with, without them, individually, we're just lost souls. He didn't want to be that way. He wanted to be with people. And his mental illness, I think many people just forget, it was a pain for him. Honestly, it hurt him. and some may not realize it. In the depth of his mental illness, even when he was going in and out of reality, he loved people. And maybe even more than what he ever did. So he was just the sweetest person you would see. And I would just look at him and I see how he was fighting in his soul, trying to beat this thing in his head. And he would pain me every day.
It was really frustrating for me as a registered nurse to see my son going through all this mental anguish and confusion, and knowing that I wish as his mother I could help him, but I couldn't, and as a nurse I could help him, but I couldn't. And for all the people who put, we're calling them, what's the word? Blog gangsters, whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying that because the people that put ugly stuff out on there, that why didn't we do this? Why didn't we get him treatment? Why didn't we did. We did as much as we could to help him in all ways that we could. But when you have certain things going on with your body, with your mind, sometimes there is no cure for that. There's help, but there's no cure. And in our system, in this state, I believe there are only 8 long-term facilities for mental illness. And 6 of those are religious run, or whatever you call that. There's just not enough of that. And I feel really bad that Dorothea Dix had wanted to leave a legacy for her park for mental illness and for people to be taken care of, and they found a loophole in the law and sold that so that Raleigh could have a destination park. Would be, let's let people have money to go do stuff, but let's not help people who really need help. That kind of pisses me off a lot. I will tell you one thing about that just kind of makes me laugh, and that is that to tell the story, sorry. When this one had to go to a private school because the school he was in didn't have some curriculum that he needed, and so Hal was in the back seat, and I dropped this one off to 4th grade, COS, and he got out of the car with this little backpack, and I gave him his lunch bag, and I'm like, hey, wait, I need to give you a hug and kiss. He's like, no, Mom, I'm in 4th grade now. I'm in 4th grade. And so Hal was in the back, and he says, Mom, I'll never be too old for you to hug and kiss me. And to this day, he would do that. He'd say, Mom, let me just give you a hug and a kiss. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to love him forever for that. And I'm going to think on it forever, but I'm going to miss that. He loved everybody, and I'm trying to keep it together because this is a celebration. And I know right now, and I know that you guys can feel it right now, there's love right here. He's up there watching us. He's, like I said, if you've ever seen Walt Disney, there's the Fantasia one, and there's this little fairy that's sliding on the ice and has a little wand and is touching everything to make it turn into icicles. But he's doing that. It's like love, smile, happy. He's giving that to everybody, and he wants everybody like this, and he wants everybody, no matter, like we said, doesn't matter where you came from, what you look like, whatever. He's not ever judged anybody at face value. He loved everybody, looked into their hearts, and he gave people when they didn't have, and he loved people when they needed comfort, and he just smiled, and he's just always doing something nutty, but something friendly and happy, and he wants everybody here just to smile and be happy. And that's what we want to. So enjoy yourselves, think on him, eat some food, have some drink, dance, sing, whatever you want to do that makes you happy, just do it. And just remember, we all bleed red, we're all the same, we're people. If we all were from a cookie cutter machine, it'd be a really boring place. And we're all about color. We love lots of colors, so do what you want to do and enjoy it.
Thank you. If you don't know me, I'm Siavash. I'm Soheil's brother. I think that's my favorite title right now, Soheil's brother. He's my little brother, one of two. And there's a thing people say sometimes, a positive thing, right? Like, just remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. And that was Sunday for me when I woke up and found out my brother had been shot and killed. That was the first day of the rest of my life without Soheil. And it's one of those things where, you're not okay, but that's fine. There's a lot of sorrow, but there's a particular kind of richness in grief, like a solace in feeling sorrow for someone you loved, because you're sad because you love them. So I just want you all to know also, if you see any of us cry, if you cry, like, that's okay, that's part of love. And I'm happy to shed tears for my brother. And the other thing is, more than that though, we want everyone, as my parents have said, like, let's have a good time. Let's remember Soheil wanted to enjoy times. He wanted people to come together. He was constantly building a community around him. Like, anywhere he went, it wasn't just Soheil off on his own. It was Soheil and finding a person, and then finding more people, and then trying to put people together. Because it wasn't enough for him that, like, he had a good time. He wanted everyone to have a good time. And if he had to, like, suffer a little bit, if he had to, like, talk a bit much, go over time, whatever, he would do it because he wanted everyone to be happy. That was what made him happy. When the folks around him were the happiest. And he didn't care who you were. Like that was the most amazing thing. He didn't care where you came from. He didn't care what you looked like. He didn't care how you talked. He didn't care if you didn't talk. He would find a way to get you to talk. I can tell you that. And he would do this thing where, like, you would just slowly get won over and you could almost be a little frustrated, but he was just so happily persistent, right? That you kind of smiled when you didn't want to. And then next thing you knew, you were having a good time. And there was like 3 new people you hadn't met before that all of a sudden were your friends. And you didn't know what happened. And there he was, off to the side, sitting there. He had this little grin on his face, kind of mischievous, a little bit abashed. But he knew. And you saw him and you're like, yeah, okay, fine. You win this time. Fine, all right? And if you know Soheil, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that's the biggest thing, like, we want to do this, and frankly, when I say we wanted to do this, really, Soheil's friends, you all have done so much. This is here because you all are here for him, right? Because he loved you all no matter what, and then you all returned that love more than I ever realized. There's so many people I didn't know were in his life, and I wish I had just been around him more, and I had him for 30 years. And what you've done is it's inspiring. It's amazing. We truly appreciate, like, how many people have shown up who didn't know him, because, yeah, I wish we all could have known him, because he would have loved to have known you. And what everyone has done in terms of just trying to, like, bring awareness to who he was, right? To caring what has happened. And frankly, the biggest thing for Soheil has always been, the world's good. Let's be happy. It's a good place. But it can be better. Right? It can be better, and we don't have to be satisfied. And he was never satisfied. He was unrealistic about some of the things he wanted to achieve, but we have to be unrealistic. Because if we're always being realistic, we're going to take the smallest, easiest step. And so I was like, well, okay, but what if I just, like, went a little bit further? And you're like, well, Soheil, hold on, calm down. Like, I don't know if that's really feasible. He's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, but what if it was kind of feasible? And like, Soheil, you're very idealistic. He's like, yeah, ideals are cool. And let's just take it a little bit further. And then next thing you know, there you are. Like, all right, fine, let's do it. So I'm learning that. My little brother is teaching me still to this day, and I'm so glad I'm learning that with all of you. And many of you are teaching me that. And we should not necessarily be, we don't have to always be realistic, and we should be idealistic. We should be a little unrealistic, and we should ask for change and ask that we can learn more and do more. And that's, things about how do we understand and deal with, mental illness, and how do we treat each other when we don't necessarily talk or look the same. We should just treat each other with love and respect. It's that simple. Yeah.
Just a couple other things. So there's a book going around that we'd like everybody to sign if you're here. Not for any other bad purposes, but nobody's going to get it. Just something about him or how you knew him, something like that. And then for the people that did know him, in his little garden over there, we've had a lot of rain. He and his dad had come out, like I said, about 7-10 days ago to fix that. But he had access from that to the whole fence over, so it was going to be a lot bigger than it is right now. So for the people who know him, if you look at that pear tree that he planted, it's kind of crooked. It's not standing up straight. And when I saw it, I just had to laugh and think, oh my God, straight Striggles. He always said that. Straight Striggles pear tree, that's what it is.
I'm going to steal my father's thunder because apparently we both had the same idea. Don't give him that. I'm important. If you have any stories that you like to share about Soheil, we'd love to get like just videos of you all telling those stories. We can record with our camera. If you don't want to just record yourself with your cell phone, we'd love that because we want to collect all those precious moments that you had and that others had, and so we can share them together because that's frankly Soheil would have wanted that. Like, hey, cool, like, yeah, that is a great story. Let's tell it again. So I would like to collect those, and also then we can share with more people who didn't know him, and they can hear and they can see in our faces and hear in our voices how much love we have for this person who's been taken away from us.
Okay, I also wanted to make sure if any of you, I think some of you know, that was my plan. So I was waiting for the right moment. So grab a few of you. Whoever feels, don't feel obligated, want to talk about Soheil. I'm specifically talking about the folks who have actually been with him. You want to share a story right now? I would love for others to hear. So whoever wants to do it, please come on. There's one.
Hey guys, how are you? I'm a little shaky right now, and I'm really good typically at speaking in public, but it's a little different of a story. And if you could just turn the reverb down just a little, because my name is Alex Freeman. I went to high school with So. He was a couple years older than me, but he took me under his wing and introduced me to a group of friends that I know now to this day, and probably for the rest of my life. There's a little music festival called Shikori Hills Grassroots, and me and So went there periodically, and one season he forgot his tent poles, and we had to string his tent up in the trees through all the little loops, and it looked like a little Dr. Seuss house. It was too perfect for him. And then when you went inside his tent, there was just a bunch of throw pillows all around on the ground. That's what he slept with. And he had dinosaur books and space books, because that's what he wanted to talk about. So I'm sitting in the tent, and for you guys who know me, I'm a beatboxer. Yeah. And he, haha, what up, man? So yeah, if anybody knows, so there's a noise I can do now only because of So. And it's the Mongolian throat singing. And when he taught me that, in 5 seconds, literally, like, all I gotta do is... It's that easy, Alex. I was like, what? So we sat there for about 5-10 minutes in his tent and went back and forth, and before you know it, I was able to do that. And I'm gonna share something with y'all only because it's so special to me, because of, we all have talents, but he helped grow my talent in a sound that catches people's attention. So I'm gonna do a quick one, and this is for So. So there's gonna be a lot of that noise going on for a second. So nah, it'd be like. Yeah, so there you go, guys! Yes. Man, seriously. And I encourage someone else to come up, get the microphone, because we all have these experiences or something with somebody. Whether it's just one word he said or one thing he taught you, it sticks and it stays. So just carry that through anybody you meet in life, please.
I'm really shy, so this is terrifying. Sorry. We were at a festival and so put blue Kool-Aid in a Windex bottle. I assume he cleaned it out first, hopefully. And he was going around spraying it in his mouth, telling everybody it's making him smarter. And I remember panicking and trying to get the bottle away from him because I really thought he was spraying Windex in his mouth. I was really worried about it. I didn't want him to do that. He waited a while before telling us it was Kool-Aid. That was a good slow story.
Hi everyone. So the first time I met So was probably in '05, and I met him off Ravelinks when Ravelinks was still around. And me and this guy Gentry and my friend Michael Bradshaw, we organized this little thing, and we went out in Carborough and we found a service road, and we went out and there was like big power lines going from state to state, and we set up a little dance party out there. And I just remember So, and that's the first time I met So, and he just connected with me, and such a beautiful person. And I will never forget him. And my last experience with him was at his house. And we were outside on the back porch. And we were doing we were just doing like something small, I had like a little portable speaker, and we were outside on his back porch, and the kid over here that did the wah wah, I can't do it. But he did that, and I don't know what happened, but he started seizing. And I ran in the house and I got his mom, and we called the ambulance. And when the ambulance got there, he got right up and he's like, "I'm fine, guys, what's going on?" That's my story of So, and I love So.
He was kind of funny like that, and I remember, unfortunately, he had a lot of injuries at different times since his brain injury. One time he got hit by a car when he was riding his bike, and he had 8 broken bones, and we were home, and he was supposed to be taking it easy, cast on each arm, cast on his leg. It was his right leg, both wrists, thumb, elbow, had to get hardware in his elbow, shoulder up here, and God knows what else was broken. But I turned the corner coming around to our neighborhood, and what do I see in front of me? My son, who's supposed to be resting with his leg up, riding a freaking bike. With all these casts, I'm like, stop the car. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I needed to get out. And I'm like, I know, but I told you guys stay in heel and let your leg up there. You're not supposed to be walking even. He goes, I'm not walking, I'm riding. What is, he just always had something to do.
Let me just pause this unless somebody wants to do it with pleasure. So it's my son Siavash, and I always mix their names, so I know. Sorry, son. Okay.
Never say my name right. He goes to my other brother before he gets to me.
Please send your stories, because I know actually sometimes it's just hard to come out and tell your stories in public like this, but I would love to share those. And I've seen a lot of it, by the way, already. I've seen some of the beautiful stories you've put out there, your experiences, and what you think of So. And so we would love to have those. Please share it with us as best as you can. But now, really, the main thing is we're going to party like so. All right? Uncle Johnny.
We have one more story. One more story. Okay, I'm Uncle Johnny. You guys can call me Uncle Johnny, I guess. So, it is true what his friend said. He loved, I think, music in space. Oh, dinosaurs in space? Yeah, so we have a space story. This was after the accident where sometimes Soheil was kind of out of it, and then he'd be like very lucid and totally in it, and you couldn't always tell which Soheil you were talking to.
And Soheil, he was incredibly sharp, right? That's one thing to remember. Even given the accident, he was incredibly sharp. And there was one time he was out with the family, and he was sitting next to my Uncle John's dad, my grandfather, and they're sitting there having a conversation, a full-on conversation, discussing various things, and they're having a good time. And then at one point, Soheil turns to my Grandpa Eddie, and he goes, "Do you like outer space, Grandpa Eddie?" My grandpa is like, "Yeah, of course. Outer space is very cool." And Soheil goes, "Would you like to go to outer space? I have a spaceship waiting for us outside." And this is the kind of family we are. My Grandpa Eddie, without skipping a beat, turns to him and says, "I'd love to, but I've got a pacemaker. I don't think I'm allowed. I have to see my doctor." So I was like, "Oh, yeah, no, you're right. You shouldn't. It's not medically safe for you." And then went right back to like having this full-on deep conversation that they're having. Yeah.
Guaranteed, he loved space.
Okay, I think. Oh, there is another one? Oh, you want to go there? Oh, sure.
Hey guys, I'm not really good at public speaking, so just bear with me. But I went to high school at So, and we were really close. And I just remember this one time I was in trouble. I had done something, and I had to call my mom, and I was so nervous about it. And I finally called her, and she goes, "You don't have to explain. I spoke to So. He called me. Just come home." And on my way home, I stopped at his house because at the time I lived right by him. And I just, I got in my car and he gave me a hug and he was like, "It's okay, we got this. I spoke to her, it's gonna be okay." And it was okay. And that's just the kind of person So was. So I just wanted to share that.
Hi, how's it going? My name's Caleb Peters, and I was good friends with So. He was a really great man. One story about him, I broke my leg in a motorcycle accident, and I was laid up in bed for a long time, and couldn't really go out and see people or anything, but So came by my house and spent the afternoon with me in bed, and just hung out, and we had a really good time, and his smile said everything about the person he was. You could tell just by looking at his smile the person who he really was. And also to touch on that thing about space, So used to tell me he was a water being from outer space that protected the universe. And he said he was part of a galactic federation that protected the universe. He said we're all water beings. I'm still trying to figure out what that means to this day, but it will be greatly missed, and he was a great man. We love him all. All of our friends out at night, Dale and all around, and we love So.
I've only got one thing to say. I only met So 2 times. However, I actually quit my job because I met So. I was in a dead-end job that I didn't really like too well, where I wasn't making a whole lot of money. And I decided I was going to go out and have a good night one night, and I spent a whole lot of money. However, right after that, So is over at mine and my girlfriend Kara's house, and he looks at me and he's like, "Bro, you shouldn't be doing this." He's like, "If it's making you this unhappy, you shouldn't be doing this. You should find something that you really like doing, and you should have a great time with the rest of your life." So because of what he told me, I actually quit doing that job and I found a brand new job the next day. So everything got lined back up. It just goes to show that if you follow somebody's advice, anything can happen for you and doors will open. Always listen to everything everybody has to say, even though it may not make sense at first. That's really all I have to say.
My name's Miles, and I knew So for probably about 6 or 7 years, and I haven't seen him, maybe the last 6 months or so. But when me and Jeremy lived in Chapel Hill, we got our own place, and I got a call from So, and it was real late. It was about 11 or 12, and he said, "Man, Miles, I have an issue." And I was like, "What's up? What's up?" He's like, "I'm kind of stranded in Chapel Hill." And I'm like, "Oh." And, it's like 11 or 12 at night. And I'm just like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, I was on the bus, and I was talking to a couple people, and this is just the type of guy he was. He basically said that they needed some money, and he gave all his money to them." And pretty much, I was like, "Okay, so what's up?" He's like, "Well, basically, I'm at your house, and I need to stay." And so for the next week or so, he stayed at my house, and every time we'd go out in Chapel Hill, he would meet someone, like a homeless person or anybody, and he always wanted to bring them back to the house. And being the person I was, I'm very paranoid about that. I was like, "No, So, don't do that." So it was a constant fight, but we will greatly miss him. And so.
Last call for.
My name is Artemis Jason, and I met So about it was maybe over a year ago, but we had some really deep conversations. In fact, the first conversation we ever had, so we met on an app called Meetup, and his name on there is actually Artemis Xylon, right? So I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Your name's Artemis. My name's Artemis. Artemis is not my birth name. Is Artemis your birth name?" "No. It's Soheil," but so we bonded over that, and that was just the first thing, and we found out we were both Pisces. So astrology is something we bonded over, and we went into like different multi-dimensional reality, so loved everyone and wanted the best for everyone, and in the universe, and he was a great inspiration, and just so we were maybe gonna start a band together at one point, and with Anthony, and we met for coffee, and we talked about that. So we actually had like a jam session that was a few months ago. Anyway, he was a beautiful soul, and he'll be dearly missed.
So I'm really gullible. So knew this. Like, he would get one over on me all the time about it. Like, one time his dad had rented him a car. He was living in Cary at the time. And he was like, we were smoking cigarettes. He was like, "I know the secret to make sure the car didn't smell like cigarettes." I'm like, "What is it?" And he cracks the window. And my dumb ass believed him. And then there's this one time, we were with Brittany and Joe at this festival. And it was like my first festival. And I was a little bit like, I was such a noob. I didn't know anything. And so he tells me they're playing this game called Slap the Bag, and it's this wine bag. Have you guys ever played that game? I never played it before. So tells me, don't worry, it stops on its own. I sit there drinking this bag of wine for 5 fucking minutes before someone just stops me, like, what are you doing? I'm like, so said it would stop. And by this point I was too drunk to realize I was still drinking the damn bag. So, he was in the corner just giggling at me. Anyway, yeah. I've got a lot sharper because of snow. Anyway, yeah, he's cool.
My name's Jen. I met So when I was about 13 years old. And he was one of my best friends for a couple of years. We'd hang out almost every day. He'd come to my mom's house and we'd just go for walks in the woods. And he was just one of the most pure people I've ever met in my life. He was so different than anybody I ever experienced, being around. He was just a light, and he was so gentle and just so giving, and just, I don't know, he saw beauty in everything. It was incredible to be around him. I hadn't seen So in about 16 years, and he contacted me about 6 weeks ago, and he said he was on his way back home to North Carolina and he wanted to see me, and I just happened to be doing nothing, so I said, let's do it. And he came and he hung out with me for about an hour and a half, and I had a lot of anxiety. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I'm kind of get bad in situations like that. I get really nervous. And he had this giant book bag on him, and he pulled it out and he said it was filled with his wizarding stuff. And he pulled out an amethyst for me, and he gave it to me, and he told me that he wanted me to hold that. And so I just held it, I don't even know how long, like 40 minutes. I just sat there just, squeezing the crap out of it. And I tried to give it back to him, and he held out his hand, and I put it in there, and he was like, I don't even know how I can touch this. He said, the amount of energy you've put into this he's like, it's incredible. You have to keep it. And I tried to give it back to him, and he wouldn't let me. He said it's yours. It has to be. And I keep that with me in my purse every day. I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna miss him a lot.
Can we start now?
Yeah, I have one thing to say.
No, we can't.
But I just want to say that I think we went to Oktoberfest in Vienna. I'm not sure exactly where it was. But they have all these tables with advertisements and everything. And then Soheil went and hung out and then came back, and he was wearing these white glasses. And I said, Soheil, wow, it looks great on you. Where did you get them? He's like, I don't know. There is some people advertising, and there's a table there. But you can have it. So he take it up. Gita, please wear them. Please wear it. It looks good on you. So I tried it, and I said, no, Soheil, you can keep it. He's like, no, Gita, it looks great on you. You should keep it. Anyway, I won the war. I won the battle, and I let him keep it. And then a month ago, we went to his house in Cary, and they were moving to Virginia, so I went there to help them pack and everything. And yesterday, I opened one of the bags, and I saw the glasses, and I was like, oh my God, these are Soheil's glasses, because I know the place that advertised it. So anyway, for some reason, it ended up with me, and I'm wearing it today. It was memory. So these are Soheil's.
Soheil won.
Hi, my name is Colleen, and I am Soheil's cousin. I've known him all my life, and it was about 7 years ago, shortly after his incident where he got run over by a truck. We had a family reunion in and I was at a time where I was very, very lost, and so was he, but he somehow came up with a very good thing to say, and he had convinced me that I should go off to college. And then right away I had applied, this was in July, and I had applied to a rolling admissions college, and I got accepted, and I got a bachelor's degree in business within 3.5 years.
I have one short story about Soheil's integrity and about my stupidity, which I have kept to myself for a while, but my mom found out apparently. When we were kids, we used to play around a lot, and at one point we played a game, and I had some random stuff, and we were playing a game, and basically we were throwing stuff back and forth. It was my idea to catch various items. Probably shouldn't be throwing back and forth. And suffice to say, at one point, Soheil missed and didn't catch it, and ended up getting, skewered in the side. And I begged him not to say anything because I didn't want to get in trouble. We were both little kids at the time, and he was like, "No problem, I got you, big bro." And he didn't say anything until I don't know, maybe like a week later. He was like changing his shirt or something because my mom had yelled at him, and she sees this cut on him, which may have been a deep cut, and she immediately turns and goes, "What happened?" And so I was like, "I can't tell you." And my mom's like, "You better tell me right now." He's like, "I can't. Told you I wish I wouldn't, you'd be mad." And so I was like, "You're gonna tell me what happened right now." And so he did, and suffice to say, my mom went to go find me. But he was a man of integrity, and I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah.